All right, welcome to part 5 of the Hero prop project. So hopefully we'll finish up the straps today. So what we did before was we had this loop strap and this extra one here. And what we need now is some sort of container, something to hold it in. Essentially the metal brace here. And what we're going to essentially do is create this one, then duplicate and sort of scale it so that we get to sort of attach sort of a cheaper version for that. We're going to sort of utilize what we have before. So let's do this with, again, a simple cube. We're going to go ahead and scale it down quite a bit by hitting R and then scale it in and then kind of move it into place as best we can. Sort of there. Let's see here. What we want it to be is we want it to be a little bit wider than the actual strap. So we can scale it out a little bit like so. We want it to be about a little bit thicker maybe than the strap. So let's see, probably about like something like that. It's probably going to be good. Could go a little bit thicker. Let's get out just a tiny bit. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And maybe a little bit wider for the first one here. So the way this is going to work is we're going to essentially right click, go to face mode on this object, select the top face, and we're going to use the extrude tool to create a insert here. So basically I'm going to click on that and then click on the blue cube and then click on the center cube to scale inwards. Again, if you haven't done this before, under the edit mesh is the extrude option right here. So I already have it to my custom shelf here. And then to repeat any action, basically you just hit the G key and you would be able to drag downwards. Now at this point I could keep it the way it is. Actually, let me undo this. I'm going to undo a couple times. I'm going to make this a little bit easier on myself. I'm going to do a couple things at once. So because we want the hole to punch through the whole thing, I want to select beyond the actual little individual. So let's select the object and then we'll go to show, isolate view, and view selected. That way we only have this object selected. So let's go to face mode, click on this face, shift select this face. So we got both face selected. Click on the extrude tool. Again, that's under the edit mesh menu. Choose extrude. Then what we're going to do is click on the blue cube and then click on the center cube, and that will essentially scale inwards a little bit. And now we're scaling essentially from both ends at the same time, which is pretty cool. Then what we can simply do is hit the delete key, and that will get rid of both of those faces. Now all we have to do is bridge the geometry across here. So if we go to edge mode, click on an edge and then hold the shift key on the other edge, we will essentially be able to bridge across. So by clicking the bridge tool here in my custom shelf, again that's under edit mesh and then just choose bridge, it will ask for possibly a division. I'm going to leave it blank right now. I'm going to click on this one, and hit G to repeat that action, and just basically go around here until we get the completed form. And one more. And I don't think we need an extra edge loop inside, so we're going to leave it pretty simple here. Right click, go to object mode, select this object. Because we're going to keep it sort of crisp, we're not going to add any softening effect to this. We could add a bevel. Maybe we'll do that. Let's go right click, go to edge mode, double click on these edges around the outside. We don't need to grab the bottom one, but we'll go to let's see, edit mesh, and we'll choose bevel. And again, we just have to determine how far to bevel, and we want it to be very, very sort of narrow. So about, I don't know, 0.1 looks pretty good here. Alright, right click, go to object mode, select the object. Now go to show, isolate, select, view selected, so we get everything back. So we got that little bit of detail there. So now we can delete our history, freeze transformation, center pivot, and we're going to essentially have this, let's see, actually we're going to have this one down here, about so. The other one we're going to have up here, and so we're going to duplicate this by hitting Control D or Command D on the Mac, and we'll have one there. But what we're going to do is we're going to squish it a little bit. We're going to make it a little bit more narrow, and then by scaling in on the Z here, and then we're going to duplicate this layer, so or this object, hit Control D, then hit W and kind of move it into place so that we essentially get the illusion of like a bar in between, basically just by having the geometry right up against each other. We could have it, you know, very, very close, or actually, you know, penetrating each other there. And that's basically what we want. So if we look back at the image here, here's the double loop where the loop sort of goes underneath, and this one it goes in. So whoops, looks like I went to my tutorial site accidentally. Here we go. So what we can now do is basically we have everything the way we want. We can now manipulate this individual form. So what I want to do is bring all these down sort of below, closer to this other object here. So I'm going to click on this, drag it down so it's kind of penetrating that one. Click on this, bring it down, and you could have held the shift key to do all three of these. I'm going to hold the shift for both of these and drag them down like so. Just kind of finding a good happy medium with this, where it feels like it could be attached, or, you know, sort of wrapping around, maybe even down a little bit further there, something like that. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Now it's a matter of manipulating this shape here. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, go to vertex mode, and then we're going to grab the vertices like so, but we're going to do it with soft selection. So this, we haven't covered this yet, but I'm going to hit the B key, and then if I hold B and middle click and drag with my mouse, I get a bigger selection or a smaller selection in the tool. Again, I'm holding B with the middle mouse button at the same time. I'm not rolling the mouse, I'm holding it down. And you have to hit the B key to activate it. But now as I move this form, you can see how it's a little bit more like, I don't want to say like rubber, but it has that sort of quality where, you know, you just feel like it's gonna select certain parts, and you can manipulate. See how we allowed that form to go through now, where it looks like it's going around. Even on the end here, if I grab these guys and pull downwards, it'll feel more like it's attached to the other form here, like so. And I may even go to the top here and select maybe, I don't know, these guys here. Kind of feel like I want to pull this out a little bit, but actually let me hit the B key here. What I want to do is actually right click, choose edge, and I want to just choose this edge and this edge and kind of pull them forward a little bit more. Kind of want to have that kind of feeling, and then I want to scale them a little bit closer together like that. There we go. That feels more like a belt sort of strap to me. So now to make this ultimately work, we have to hit 3 for all of these. So we have to click on this, hit 3, and voila. Now we've got the illusion of this cool strap, you know, sort of going through all these sort of units. Then all we could do is duplicate it and head it over to the other units. So now that that's completed, let's quickly do a bolt, and then the last tutorial I'll show you how to duplicate everything and bring it over. Essentially with each of these objects you would want to freeze transformation, center pivot, delete history, all that, and possibly group them in certain ways. We'll cover that again in the next tutorial. So let's create a bolt here. A bolt, we could use the cylinder here. So the bolt here, we could use a cylinder here, and we're going to click on it, and we're going to go into the channel box here and scroll down to the poly input and basically make the divisions 6. Hit enter, and then we're going to basically get rid of most of this bolt. So I'm going to right click, choose faces, get rid of all the bottom nonsense, and just delete it. Then right click, choose object, select this face, this top face, and we're going to center the pivot on it and then scale it down quite a bit, and then hit W and kind of start to bring it down into place. And you can see here, so what we need to do is scale it down quite a bit. And I'm going to stop about here. I'm not going to scale it down much further. The whole thing will have to be scaled down a little bit, but it'll be easier to see if I manipulate the form here. So what I'm going to do is right click, choose edge. I'm going to double click on this edge loop, and I'm going to choose extrude. And then I'm going to grab the blue arrow and drag downwards like so. Now I could create my own bevel, so I'm going to stop there, click on the blue arrow, then click on the center cube and scale it out a little bit so it's got a little bit of flare. Then hit G to repeat. And if you notice, this is now going the normal direction, this blue arrow. Notice this little extra dial here. If I click on this, it goes back into world view. And so what I want to do is grab the green arrow this way because I want to drag this directly downwards like so to something like this. I want to be kind of thick, and then right click and choose object mode. So at this point I could center pivot, freeze transformation, and delete history, except that I probably need to scale it down even a little bit further, and then just move it into place. Let's see, something like that might be good. Let's see, bring it down. Small objects like this are actually very difficult to kind of deal with in a way because they're so small. There we go. Get something like this. Now, what I might do if I really want to style this, I mean, it depends on the resolution you're going for. You probably don't need to do this, but if you wanted to make this object even a little bit cooler, right click, choose face. I'm going to select all of these faces here by holding the shift key. And then I'll do another extrusion, scale it in by clicking on the blue cube, scale in like this, and then hit the G key, grab blue arrow, drag inwards a little bit so it's got a little bit of a inset there, and then hit G again, click on blue cube, scale in a little bit, something like that, and then pull up a little bit on the arrow just so you get that little extra rim there, as if a bolt is, you know, going around there. And that looks pretty cool, and we're not going to smooth these out at all, so that will be a great little bolt to basically duplicate over and over and over. So this concludes this tutorial. We'll see you soon in Autodesk Maya. Cheers.